Om Jnanam Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksururmilidam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Vasudevasutam Devam Kansa Chanuramardanam Devaki Param Anandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Jai Sri Krishna, Jai Gurudev. Welcome to today's session on the universal form. Today we have an amazing session lined up for you. We're going to see what and how Lord Krishna revealed this form to Arjuna and what transpired at that point. So let's look at the slides that I have prepared. And I have tried my best to put them together, slides that indicate the flow of how the universal form was revealed. So we're going to start by looking at, first and foremost, a little bit of what we covered last week. We talked about the pure devotee, who's always thinking of Lord Krishna in terms of his opulence, in terms of his greatness, in terms of his beauty. And Lord Krishna is really the overseer. He is the one who grants all the powers to all the devatas, and therefore he is the supreme. Now, as a result of thinking of Lord Krishna, the devotee becomes free from all sinful reactions, and Lord Krishna himself gives the power to the devotee to realize him. This was indicated in the Chatur Slokas that we covered last week, and Arjuna reaffirms that he is indeed the most powerful. We talked about many lords' opulence, about him being silence, him being the radiance of the sun, him being the moonlight, and everything about his opulence. And finally, in the last verse, Lord Krishna says, know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring but a spark of my splendor. That was the last verse in chapter 10. Now, when we look at chapter 10 and chapter 11, chapter 10 is the theory. The glories are explained in detail. What is meant there is, Lord Krishna is saying, I am in everything. And in chapter 11 is the practicals, where Arjuna is seen with his own Jnana Netra, the cosmic form, and he realizes that everything is in me as far as Lord Krishna is concerned. So it's very interesting. Chapter 10, he says, I'm in everything. Chapter 11, the message is, everything is in me. So chapter 10 theory, chapter 11 practical. So when we started chapter 11, first verse itself, Arjuna said, by my hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now been dispelled. Now, in this chapter, Arjuna initially requests Krishna's description of the universal form. Despite acknowledging about the two-armed form of the Lord is the actual form, Arjuna still feels it's important to see the universal form. Now, before we move on, why did Arjuna want to see the universal form? I mean, he's a devotee. Does he doubt what Lord Krishna said? Did he, for any moment, did not believe what was told to him? When he said, all my illusions has been dispelled, yet he wanted to see. But there were a lot of acharyas who analyzed this, and apparently this is the reason. The devotee is not concerned to see the Vishwa Rupa, the universal form, but Arjuna wanted to see it to substantiate Krishna's statement so that in the future, people could not understand that Krishna not only theoretically or philosophically presented himself as supreme, but actually presented himself as such to Arjuna. So that in future, anybody says, I am the Lord, all we have to do is say, okay, show me the universal form. And that dispels all doubts about who truly is the Lord. So this is something that you think about. A statement is followed by proof, and that proof is indication of the supremacy of the Lord. So this is why Arjuna asked to see. And when he asked to see, he said, if you think I'm qualified, please show me your form. It is said that one can neither see, hear, or understand or perceive the Supreme Lord Krishna by material senses. But if one is engaged in loving transcendental service to the Lord from the beginning, then one can see the Lord by revelation. Therefore, Arjuna pleads for the inconceivable grace of Krishna. He does not give Krishna orders. He does not say, show me your form. No. Krishna is not obliged to reveal himself to anyone unless one surrenders fully in Krishna consciousness and engages in devotional service. So that's the lesson. How Arjuna asked him, if you think I'm qualified, please show me your form. Then Lord Krishna said, you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. Now, this has to be understood very carefully, this statement. It's because seeing occurs with intelligence. What that means is when we see, we are seeing with our eyes. But for us to make sense of what we are seeing, we need to already know a little bit about what we are seeing to link up with what we want to know. Because the intelligence has to be transcendental to see something transcendental. And that transcendental intelligence is only possible when Lord Krishna gives him the divine eyes. Secondly, we must understand that when he's seeing the Lord, he's seeing in space, he's seeing a form, but also seeing beyond time. So in the material world, we can see things, but we cannot see past time, we cannot see future. But here, Lord Krishna is going to show Arjuna what is going to happen at the end of the battle. So it's very interesting. The divine eyes helps Arjuna see the universal form with divine intelligence, as well as see into the future. And that's why the Lord said, I give you divine eyes. Now, from verse 9 onwards, Sanjaya describes the universal form and makes it sound quite nice, you know. There are two verses, indicates there's no limit to the hands, mouth, legs of the Lord. This manifestation distributed throughout the universe, unlimited. By the grace of Lord, Arjuna could see them while sitting in one place due to the inconceivable potency of Krishna. What Arjuna saw was indescribable, yet Sanjaya is trying to give a mental picture of that great revelation to Dhritarashtra. Neither Sanjaya nor Dhritarashtra are present, but Sanjaya, by grace of Vyasa, could see what happened. Thus, he now compares the situation as far as understood to an imaginable phenomenon. So this is what he said. He said, he told Dhritarashtra that Arjuna saw that in the universal form, unlimited mouths and unlimited eyes. It was all wondrous. The form was decorated with divine, dazzling ornaments and arrayed in many garbs. He was garlanded gloriously, and there were so many scents smeared all over his body. All was magnificent, all expanding, unlimited. This was seen by Arjuna. Then Arjuna expressed wonder. He himself started saying that your form, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs, is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence, which is fiery and immeasurable like the sun. If hundreds of thousands of suns rose up at once into the sky, they might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. Then Arjuna said, you are the origin without beginning, middle, or end. You have numberless arms. The sun and moon are among your great unlimited eyes. By your own radiance, you are heating this entire universe. Although you are one, you are spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space between. O great one, as I behold this terrible form, I see that all the planetary systems are perplexed. As we learn from Vedic scriptures, there are many the universes and many planets. Some of them are made of earth, some made of gold, some made of jewels, some very great, some not so great. Sitting on the chariot, Arjuna could see all these universes. Then Arjuna said, O Lord of the universe, I see in your universal body many, many forms, bellies, mouths, eyes expanded without limit. There is no end, there is no beginning, there is no middle to all this. My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled together in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and many sages and divine serpents. O best of the Bharatas, see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Rudras, all the demigods. Behold the many things which no one has ever seen or heard before. So Lord Krishna and Arjuna were discussing. And Arjuna was very clear about the wonder of the universal form. And he realized that all the demigods, the devatas, exist within Krishna. Once the divine version is revealed, the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna changes immediately. Before, Krishna and Arjuna had a relationship based on friendship. But here, after the revelation, Arjuna is offering obeisances with great respect. With folded arms, he's praying to Krishna. He's praising the universal form. Thus, Arjuna's relationship becomes one of wonder rather than friendship. So you see, Arjuna is expressing wonder initially when he saw the form. And then you'll see next, he begins to express fear. So first, Sanjaya expresses the brilliance, then Arjuna expresses wonder, and after that you'll find Arjuna expresses fear. Why is it he expresses fear? What happened? He says, O Lord of the universe, I see in your universal body many, many forms, bellies, mouth, expanded without limit, no end, no beginning, no middle. It is glaring in effulgence, fiery, immeasurable. By your own radiance, you are hitting the entire universe. Although you are one, you are spread throughout the sky and the planets and all the space. O great one, as I behold this terrible form, I see that all the planetary systems are perplexed. So the form from a universal form begins to be a very terrifying form. He says, it appears that not only Arjuna saw this universal form, but others in the planetary systems also saw it. The vision was not a dream. All who were spiritually awake and the divine vision saw it. He began to see fire coming out of the mouth. He began to see the eyes becoming very, very radiant and fiery. He began to see teeth. He began to see a form of anger that he had never seen before. And then all the demigods started surrendering and entering into the Lord. Very afraid, with folded hands, they are singing the Vedic hymns. O mighty armed one, they are disturbed at seeing your many faces, eyes, arms, bellies, your terrible teeth, and are so disturbed, and so am I. So Lord Krishna suddenly started displaying teeth and fire emerging from the teeth, and the eyes started becoming very, very frightening. Then Arjuna said, all pervading Vishnu, I can no longer maintain my equilibrium. Seeing your radiant colors fill the skies, beholding your eyes and mouths, I am afraid. Fear began to engulf him. It's almost like his friend became something very, very fearful. Very, very frightening. It's almost like watching a frightening movie. And Arjuna began to lose his control and his balance. Completely horrifying, he sees all sorts of shocking sights. He starts seeing soldiers being killed in teeth of the form, rivers into ocean, mouths into blazing fires. Then he asks Krishna, who are you? What is your mission? So what happened is, when he saw Krishna in that fearful form, he see all people rushing with full speed into Lord's mouth as moths dash to destruction in a blazing fire. O mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your great form and many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, bellies, your many terrible teeth, and they're disturbed. I can no longer maintain my equilibrium. Seeing your radiant colors fill the skies, your eyes and mouths, I am afraid. Please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance, seeing thus your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth. I am bewildered. You know, it's just like he was watching the Lord from afar and he could see that anger, the fire coming out of the mouth, the eyes becoming reddish. And suddenly that far, very distant, fearful face appeared right on the battlefield. And you could see people being sucked into his burning mouth, like moths being sucked to the fire and completely being destroyed. And he could see the people he was going to fight with on the battlefield being killed. So that is what shocked him. He saw all the other people on the other side being killed. Just like various streams of rivers racing towards the ocean, in the same manner, heroes of the world of men rushing into your blazing mouth. So this is a very powerful sloka because it describes how people die. You see, all the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their alleged king and Bhishma, Drona, and Karna, all our soldiers are rushing into your mouths, their heads smashed by your fearful teeth. Then you see some of them crushed between the teeth. The head is crushed between the teeth, and they are dying. And he sees rivers flowing into the sea, great warriors entering your blazing mouths and perish. Now let's look at this scenario. Why did he see two situations of these people dying? Why did he see the moth that rushed into and completely got completely devastated? And why did he see the streams? You see, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and some of the warriors on the other side, not all of those warriors were sinful. Some of the warriors who were on the other side who actually had no choice. They had no evil intention. They were good people. But because they were on the other side, they had to be killed. But because they were good, they were like the stream, the river, that was naturally flowing into the sea. When the river reaches the sea, it remains its form. It's still water. It ends its journey, but it ends up in the same position. So when devotees who have spiritual qualities, when they offer service to the Lord in their lifetime, when their life ends, they continue to offer service to the Lord. And in the process of offering service to the Lord, they help people around them, just like the river, when it's going through its voyage to the sea, it irrigates the land on the side and lets plants grow. So this is a description of how people of good nature, devotees who spend their life serving the Lord and serving others, when their life comes to an end, there is no change. They gradually merge seamlessly into the spiritual plane where they continue serving the Lord. But when you have people who have evil intention, who are tamasic and rajasic in nature and no sattvic qualities, people who create harm, people who create a lot of difficulty for others, they are like moths. Intentionally, they rush into the fire and completely become devastated, nothing left. So the body is devastated. The soul goes to another body and the same thing is repeated. So when we look at these two examples of descriptions of how people die, we realize that when people do not engage in devotional service and become devotees to the Lord, they continue this life, birth, death, disease, continuously just like the moth, and when they end their life, it just completely broken up and lost. Unlike devotees. So very interesting analogy is given in these two slokas. So he says here, flaming mouths, scorching worlds you manifest. And then finally, Arjuna couldn't take it anymore. He was too shocked. He couldn't believe what he saw, what happened of his friend. And so with his folded arms, he said, "O Lord of Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me, who are you? I offer my obeisance unto you. Please be gracious to me. I do not know what your mission is. I desire to hear it." So you see, the Lord showed Arjuna that part of him which Arjuna was not prepared to see and did not understand. What he saw was not Krishna. So he didn't know what he was seeing. He says, "Okay, tell me, who are you? I don't know you. Please, I want to hear from you. What is this form that you're showing me?" Then the Lord said, "Time I so become my instrument." So what happened then is, when Arjuna said, "Who are you?" the Lord said, "Time I am, destroyer of the worlds, and I've come to engage all people." So that form, that fiery form, that fire that came out of his mouth is like the fire that eliminates the entire universe. And time is what destroys everything. You see, in the Vedic scriptures, time is a characteristic of material nature, in such that material nature continues to decay. Everything, matter, body, whatever there is in this world decays. And what is causing that decay? What is causing that slow but gradual demise? It's time. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, this material world is gradually, completely being eliminated by time, with time. And that time is the Kala Rupa. So Lord Krishna said, "I am time." And it's very interesting here, because when Lord Krishna saw that fiery form of the Lord, and he saw the enemies on the other side actually being killed even before the war started, Lord Krishna was showing him his omniscience, his ability to see the future, his ability to know what is going to happen, and that he already arranged it. So Lord is showing Arjuna his Kala Rupa. Does that mean the Lord wants to destroy everything? Does that mean that he is one that has set up the universe to be destroyed? Why does he destroy? Why does he allow death to occur? It's a very interesting question, because apparently it has been said that the Lord destroys the temporary to enable connection to the eternal. Meaning, if we have a temporary form, how do we move from the temporal to the eternal? We have to die. And that death is the destruction occurring over time. So even the virtuous people have to die, but when they die, that is the opportunity they have to connect with the Lord eternally. But when people who are not virtuous, when they die, they have another opportunity in the next lifetime again to connect to the eternal. So it's like the Kala Rupa, or death or destruction, is actually meant to deliver people. And that's why he said, among all kind of killers, time is the ultimate because time kills everything. And think about it, that's so true. Because with time, all of us age and all of us reach a stage where we don't exist anymore. So that is the Lord's Kala Rupa. So in this chapter, we are looking at the Vishwarupa, the universal form, and now the Kala Rupa. So what he told Arjuna is Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, and other great warriors have already been destroyed by me. Therefore, kill them and do not be disturbed. Simply fight and you will vanquish your enemies in battle. In other words, he's telling Arjuna, what is the point of your getting worried, upset, giving all sorts of reasons why you should not fight? They're already dead. I've already killed them. Don't be disturbed. Just do your duty. Simply fight and you will win. So, what is important is that in verse 33, if you see on this side, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, get up and prepare to fight. After conquering your enemies, you will enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you can be an instrument in the fight. That is the very pertinent statement. Instrument. Be my instrument. Nimitta. So Lord Krishna has already arranged everything. He has already arranged for what to happen, what will happen, what not. And he's asking Arjuna, just be my instrument. That's why in chapter 3, if you remember, Lord Krishna told Arjuna, do your prescribed duty. What has been prescribed for you has been prescribed because by doing your duty, you are playing the part that you should. Because by doing that, you become an instrument. So if we are an instrument of the Lord, then why should we worry about whether or not he'll succeed or fail? Ultimately, it's he who has already decided. It's amazing how when you do this chapter and you think back about chapter 3 and chapter 4, when he says, perform sacrifice, do it as a sacrifice, an offering to the divine fire. That sacrifice means you are sacrificing yourself because you are becoming an instrument for the Lord. So this is a very, again, very nice message that we can take away from this topic. After he had done all this, after he had seen the Kala Rupa, then Arjuna expresses devotion. So interesting. First, Arjuna expresses wonder. So wonderful, so many arms, so many legs, so many heads, see the whole universe, all the devatas there. Then that wonder turns to fear. He couldn't believe how that wonderful, amazing thing became so fearful that you could see death going on right in front of him. That's when the Lord revealed this Kala Rupa. After all this, from expressing fear, then Arjuna expresses devotion. You see how the movement of emotions so touching and so reverberating in this topic. So in a very humble mood, he wants to offer something to Krishna, but he sees that everything is part of Krishna in the universal form. He doesn't know what to do. He just offers obeisance. So when he realized that everything belongs to Krishna, what am I to offer? What can I offer somebody who has everything? He just offers obeisance. He says, you are the original personality, the Godhead. You are the only sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You know everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are above the material modes. Oh, limitless form, the whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. You are air, fire, water. You are the moon. You are the supreme controller and the grandfather. Thus, I offer my respectful obeisance to you 1,000 times and again. He just could not stop offering his obeisances. That's all he could offer. That was a sign of devotion. He doesn't know how to offer obeisance because Lord Krishna is all over the place. He can see him in front, he can see the side, see him at the back, see him up, see him bottom. He says, obeisance to you from the front, from behind, from all sides. Oh, unbounded power, you are the master of limitless might. You are all pervading and you are everything. So Arjuna was so carried away emotionally by what he saw that he just couldn't stop paying obeisances. And he said, you are the original personality of Godhead, the oldest, the ultimate sanctuary, and you are the knower of everything. So when he expressed all this, he was describing what he saw and in the process offering obeisance. Then he realized that he called Krishna and played with Krishna and had fun with Krishna, thinking that Krishna was just his friend. He didn't know that Krishna was the Lord. And then he got very fearful. He said, now I know who you are, but thinking of you as my friend, I rashly address you as, oh Krishna, oh Yadava, oh my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I've dishonored you many times. Jesting as we relaxed, I lay on the same bed or sat on it together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. Oh, infallible one, please excuse me for all these offenses. You see, when Arjuna realized who Krishna was, suddenly his perspective of who he was dealing with changed completely. And he could not believe that the friend he used to play with actually is the supreme controller of the universe. While praying, he said, you are the supreme Lord to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down, offer my respects and ask you for mercy. Please tolerate the wrongs that I may have done to you and bear with me as a father with his son, or as a friend with his friend, or as a lover with his beloved. Because a father will forgive his son, a friend will forgive his friend, a lover will forgive his beloved. Please forgive me. Arjuna was begging Krishna. Then Arjuna said, O universal Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. So Arjuna could not take it anymore. He could not bear the sight of the Kala Rupa. And he says, please, please, come back to your original form. So he was telling Krishna to come back to the four-armed form and finally to the two-armed form. After seeing the universal form, which I've never seen before, I'm gladdened, but at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead, O Lord of Lords, O abode of the universe. Then the Lord said, my dear Arjuna, happily do I show you this universal form within the material world by my internal potency. No one before you has ever seen this unlimited and glaringly effulgent form. Your mind has been perturbed upon seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free from all disturbance. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire. One can perform all these and can accept bodily penances, give charity, study the Vedas, etc. But unless he is a devotee, like Arjuna, it is not possible to see universal form. So Arjuna saw the universal form because of the Lord's desire and will to show him. And this form could not be seen by anybody no matter what they did. That was what this purport was. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personal Godhead Krishna, while speaking thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-arm form. And at last, he showed him his two-arm form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in this original form, he said, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, my mind is now pacified and I'm restored to my original nature. The blessed Lord said, my dear Arjuna, the form which you're seeing now is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear. So the two-arm form, which we see all the time, we see it in pictures, we see it in the Geeta Ashram, we see it in the temples. We take it as that's who Lord Krishna is, but that is the most beautiful form there is. So this chapter has, in a sense, revealed to us how fortunate we all are to see his beautiful form. Imagine what Arjuna had to go through, the kind of fear and astonishment he had to go through until he begged Lord Krishna to show him this form. What is important is the last verse. The Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, one who is engaged in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of previous activities and from mental speculation, who is friendly to every living entity, certainly comes to me. That was the parting verse of this chapter. So if we look at this in its entirety, we can see initially Arjuna, when he wanted to see the form, he was in a state of amazement, then wonder, and then fear. He could see all the forms, he was amazed, and then he was fearful when he saw the fire, and he saw the Kala Rupa, and then when he was in a state of devotion, he saw the four-arm form and the two-arm form. And Lord Krishna told him that only the pure devotee can see the two-arm form of the Lord. So this is an amazing chapter, a very amazing chapter that showed us how the Lord granted the wish of his devotee. And there are a number of important takeaways from this chapter. The first takeaway is the Lord is form. Well, the whole form was described in chapter 11, and there are people who say Lord is formless. No. How can you say he's formless when he is described and the form has been shown? So that is the first takeaway. The Lord has a form and he is a person with a form. The second takeaway is the form is revealed only with his will. And that will can only be revealed to his devotees who are desirous and who qualify to see the form. The Visvarupa, the universal form, was revealed to confirm the Lord's opulence, confirm that yes, he is the Lord and he is having all opulence. So that moving forward, if somebody says, I am Lord, all we have to do is tell him, okay, show me the universal form. That puts to rest any misconceptions about who truly is the Lord. So that is a very interesting takeaway. The other takeaway is the Kala Rupa reveals the Lord's omniscience and destructive force. Omniscience means he knows the future. He has already arranged everything. Everything has already been planned. He's just asking Arjuna, be my instrument. And that Kala Rupa, time, is the destructive force. And time is nothing but that which destroys everything. Why does it destroy everything? To enable the living entity to move from a temporal arrangement to an eternal relationship. And that requires death. And death is ultimate destruction of human existence. And the beautiful verse that described how the river gradually enters the sea, indicating end of life of people of high virtue. where the nature doesn't change. Naturally, they go into the sea. And while going into the sea, they nourish the banks. And another metaphor that was revealed in this lovely chapter was how the moth intentionally goes into the fire and gets destroyed immediately, completely devastated, indicating how people of material nature, when they die, their body is completely devastated. And the soul has to take another body to continue this very painful existence that involves birth, death, disease, and old age. We also discuss how death facilitates transition from temporary to eternal for devotees. The most important takeaway is this: only devotees who engage in pure devotional service, free from contaminations of previous activities and mental speculation, friendly to all living beings, comes to him. So this is a summary of the key takeaway from chapter 11. I want to thank you for joining me for 40 minutes as proposed. If there are any questions you'd like to ask, you may do so. Otherwise, I will take leave. Are there any questions, anybody? Anybody want to share your thoughts on what we just covered? If not, thank you very much once again. I look forward to having you again next week for a discussion on devotional practice, chapter 12. So see you again. Thank you. Wish you all the best. Jai Sri Krishna. Jai Gurudev.